This reseller's done the hard bit. They've found the stock. They've got Levi's, they've got Wrangler, they've got YSL, some generally desirable pieces, yet they're basically giving it away for free. Some listings look like they're photographed by one person, and other listings look like they're photographed on a different continent. And I found a phrase that kept appearing in the tile over and over again that had me thinking, is this AI after a few beers? If you want all the strategies that I discuss in this video, the link's down in the description below. You can download the audiobook there. It details everything. Let's get to the store. So here we have it, Vintage Finds 786. Store snapshot. Got 55 items, 7 items sold, 100% feedback, and at the minute, 1 follower. So it's still a young store. The gent who runs the store contacted me on TikTok. He saw my nephew's store roasting and asked whether I could do the same for him. So we've got lots of decent stock in here. Lots of YSL, Under Armour, Levi's, Puma's a little bit hit and miss, Calvin Klein's a bit hit and miss, Hard Rock, Cafe. These can sometimes do quite well for collectors. Kappa. Lots of decent shorts, lots of Levi's. Lee's a bit iffy, Champion's a bit iffy. But generally, it's all recognisable stock. So I don't think that inventory is necessarily the issue here. It's also, he's going for quite a clear niche here. Branded menswear, bit of women's chucked in, lots of denim shorts, which is great with the summer coming up. So the foundations are here for a specialist clothing store, which is great. Listings are on Buy It Now. You got best offer available, which is a good start. Auctions on clothing tend to be pretty dead. Let's have a look at the titles. So the titles, that's nice. Hermes dress shirt. Wasn't here when I looked the other day. That's very nice. The titles look decent. They're consistent. They're always starting with the brand, gender, size. Something I find a little bit weird is the blue and faded whitewashed. It sounds a bit like that is an AI phrase. Blue and faded whitewash. Yeah, you use that quite a lot. I think that's quite confusing. Well, not confusing, it just sounds a little bit odd. So the titles are much better than most young stores. Some of your pricing seems quite low. Reebok Dallas Cowboys, I'd take out the forward slashes. They tend to confuse the algorithm and not many people search a forward slash. But this seems really cheap. What's the condition like? I mean, it's in decent condition. I think you could probably, I mean, I would probably list that at $24.95 and then wait for offers to come in, but that seems pretty cheap. Okay, it does look like half the store is shorts at the minute, so it might be a bit overpowering to the rest. You really want to try and get a curated mix. 40% shorts, 20% shirts, 20% jackets, 10% sweaters and 10% bolos. This mixed gender title, the Champion Ohio State University crew neck jumper, men's / women's, you want to try and target one audience really, so either men's or women's. Again, your pricing is super cheap, especially coming into summer. These shorts I would have up at $16.95, promote at 5%, and then take offers of sort of 12, 13 quid. You want your average selling price to be more in line with these shirts, with the 20, 22, 25 pounds. Photographing. So the photography, like I think your flat lays look awesome, but with your hanging photos, I think the lighting's a bit off. Like there's quite a big difference between the photographs. Like this one in particular, the yellow shirt and this white shirt, they look very different. I'd probably get some soft boxes, some lighting, so the photos can be consistent. If it were me personally, and it's just a personal preference, I'd flat lay them and have them on the same background as what your shorts are on. So every single photograph in your store is consistent and has the same background. Or if you are going to hang them, I would also have just a clear background. The edges and corners of these cupboards and wardrobes tend to distract people. Now, something that I told my nephew was that you've got to have the measurements in the photos. So let's have a look and see whether he's got the measurements in the photos. No measurements. You got to have the measurements in the photos. Have you got it in your description? Yeah, you got them in the description. I'd probably put the measurements in inches instead of centimeters. You're probably a younger guy than me, but most people, when it comes to clothing, they go by inches. It's like a 32-inch waist. You don't have, I don't even know what 32 inches is in centimeters, but you don't have the waist in centimeters. Also, it's a little bit hard to read the measurements here. So instead of having them one after the other, I would have them vertically going down. That way, when someone comes onto your listing, they can go, oh, what's the length, and they can see it straight away. Whereas this, I'm having to concentrate. So if I was just browsing, I'd probably be like, I can't be bothered, and I'd move on. So do take a look at that. But other than that, your description's good. It's got kind of the main bits that you need in there. Something that could seriously be damaging your discoverability on eBay, item specifics are massive, and you've only got about 15 item specifics filled out. So if you have a look in comparison to one of my listings, there's loads more information there. And so I have the description all kind of going down like that. I have pit to pit and neck to hem. It's really easy to just take a glance at, and you can read everything really, really quite easily. So I would change the format of that. Not having your measurements in the photos, because say for example, someone's like, oh, I don't understand centimeters. Then they look at your tape measure and it's got inches and centimeters, then they're going to be able to figure it out. So measurements, item specifics, really, really important. Also photo consistency. If it looks like your photos are taken by different people in different places, then you begin to lose buyer trust, because a lot of the fake accounts tend to have different backgrounds in all their photos. But consistency is really important on eBay. So make sure you're consistent with your photographing and get as many item specifics in as possible. So if you're finding this useful and you'd like to learn a little bit more about how an eBay or reselling business works, the link to my audiobook, Road to 100K, is in the description. It's got the whole strategy that I use. It's got all of the mistakes that I've made. It's a really comprehensive story of how I went from zero to where I am now. It's in the link in the description. Have a look. Let's look on here. You got men's/women's again. There is an option in your item specifics to add unisex, but it confuses the algorithm. Pictures are decent though. That's not a Hard Rock Cafe label though. I know this is a vintage one because it's got a puffy collar, or at least I think it's a vintage one, but that should have a Hard Rock Cafe label. It's also made in USA, so it's probably decent quality. But if it's flagged by eBay as being fake, they'll take the listing down and you might get a smack on the wrist. So I'd double check. Pretty sure they should have a Hard Rock Cafe label. Here's the scores that I would give your store at the minute. Stock, 8 out of 10. Got some decent stuff in there. Titles, 7 out of 10. Really nice and consistent, doing well with them. Pricing, 5 out of 10. Photography consistency, probably 4 out of 10. Long-term potential, like 9 out of 10. I think if you keep going, and if you do want to grow on eBay, I would seriously look at the things I've suggested. They're not woolly. They're from eBay themselves, and you can look at any reselling content online and it will tell you the same things. So my final verdict, stock definitely isn't the problem. Inconsistent photography, those kind of AI parts of titles in places, and the mixed gender titles are a bit of a problem. And your stock is really cheap. If you're on a business account, you'd probably be making 2-3 quid profit max on each of those items. So that needs fixing. If you want to grow eBay, you need to factor these kind of things in, because when you go from personal, which is 0 fees, to having fees, it's a level up. All the ingredients are there for a great store. It's just the seasoning that needs work. You did ask about promoted listings. What I tend to do with promoted listings is I don't promote for the first week and try and allow for organic sales to come through. If it doesn't sell in that first week, I then promote at 5%. Then if it still hasn't sold for 60 days, then I'll have a look at relisting it and changing the price. But as for visibility, like item specifics is a quick win. eBay really likes white backgrounds. Your promoted listings, if you don't promote already, I mean, if you're not paying fees, you could be promoting it at a much higher percentage than 5%. But I think you've got the right idea on not depending on Vinted, because they like to ban people willy-nilly. If you want to figure out what's going wrong with your eBay store, the audiobook is in the description below. It comes with a companion and lessons within it, so you can work through it like a workbook, but it's super useful. It's in the description below. Over and out. Booty bird.